What's up, everybody? It's Aditya Foldiore here with your Week 5 must starts. So, first up, a difficult decision at quarterback. Believe it or not, I was looking at Daniel Jones and Zach Wilson for this week's must start. And one reason for that is you have guys like Justin Herbert and Geno Smith on bye. So, in many leagues, your quarterback, 1 QB leagues, your quarterback is on bye for that week. So, Daniel Jones may have been dropped in several leagues. Zach Wilson is definitely on waivers in most leagues. So one of those two guys, definitely given the right matchup, would be a streaming option for you this week. Ultimately, Zach Wilson was the quarterback. I went with the must-start quarterback for this week. And the primary reason is he's facing the Denver Broncos defense, and he could not have an easier game to build upon his performance against the Chiefs last week. He scored over 19 fantasy points against Kansas City last week, and now he faces Denver, which has allowed 13 passing touchdowns so far this season, and opponents are averaging over 300 passing yards against them. Justin Fields, who struggled to start the season, had a 335-yard, 4-touchdown performance against Denver. Denver did get several guys limited practices back this week, but it doesn't look like they're getting fully healthy just yet. Justin Simmons, Frank Clark coming back soon, but don't expect that Denver defense to immediately be great. Zach Wilson with guys like Justin Herbert and Geno Smith on bye. Look for him on waivers and start him up if you need to. Next up is Brian Robinson at running back. Robinson has gotten double-digit touches in every game this season, and he's leading his backfield in snap share. A Week 3 blowout loss to the Bills was the only week in which Antonio Gibson overtook him in snap share. Chicago's defense is kind of solid when it comes to efficiency, but volume and scoring opportunities are where the Bears struggle, and they yield high numbers of those to opposing running backs. Bears have allowed 4 rushing touchdowns this season, and they allow nearly 6 running back receptions per game. Brian Robinson is getting the bulk of the carries in the Commanders' backfield, as well as a sizable amount of targets out of the backfield. Antonio Gibson isn't dominating the target share. Antonio Gibson is still getting the bulk of the targets, but Brian Robinson is getting a couple targets per game as well. So start up Brian Robinson in your running back spot if you've got him this week. Next up at wide receiver is the rookie Zay Flowers out of the Baltimore Ravens offense. He has a 28.7% target share this season, which is 10th among wide receivers, and 100% route participation, first among wide receivers as well. He specializes in making defenders miss. He's number 4 in juke rate this season, and he's a centerpiece of the Ravens offense, which has been established. Lamar Jackson looks for him on a lot of short yardage looks, screens, and a lot of plays around the line of scrimmage. But he's also looked for him on some deep targets. Zay Flowers and Lamar Jackson have connected on a couple deep targets this season, and now facing a Steelers secondary that just allowed over 300 yards to the Texans, and C.J. Stroud and Nico Collins connecting often in that game. Pittsburgh has allowed 3 100-yard receivers this season, and the secondary has just struggled to contain wide receivers. So the rookie Zay Flowers, he'll see the volume, and he faces a struggling secondary this week in Week 5. Start him up. And at tight end, you have Dalton Kincaid of the Buffalo Bills. Kincaid has a 13.1% target share, which is 20th among tight ends, but he is slightly edging out Dawson Knox so far this season in that Bills tight end room. He's producing 3 games of at least 4 targets this season, and he's been more of a short yardage weapon. He's been getting a lot of snaps out of the slot, number 5 in slot snaps among tight ends this season. He faces Jacksonville, which has given up 2 tight end touchdowns and recently allowed 95 receiving yards to Jonnu Smith in Week 4. So Dalton Kincaid, he isn't the traditional tight end. He's been used out of the slot a lot, but whether he's being guarded by a linebacker or a corner or some kind of defensive back in Week 5 against the Jaguars, Kincaid is getting a lot of usage in terms of target share in that Bills offense. So start up Kincaid this week, and this is the week that he has a greater touchdown opportunity against Jacksonville. So fire him up for this week for him to finally hit for your fantasy lineups. And that's all for this week's must starts. Good luck this week.